Brendan Kennedy, CEO of Tilray, I suppose soon to be ex-CEO of Tilray as it becomes part of this merged entity with Aphria. Thank you so much for joining us today. Look, you guys announced this partnership this morning with Grow. Obviously, that has been hugely material to the stock. It looks like it's up around 40% just at the time you're coming on to speak. I have to ask, what else have you got up your sleeve like this?
Well, we've made several announcements over the last 60 days, partnerships to distribute our product in Germany. Obviously, we were awarded several opportunities in France through the ANSM tender process. We had medical authorization in Portugal February 1st. Last week, we announced that we have imported product from Portugal to Spain with our partner Grow Pharma there, and then today's announcement in the UK. It seems like it's a lot of news related to our international opportunities, and it really is a coincidence that these all happen to be in a relatively short amount of time. Most of these projects are long projects that we've been working on, Portugal for about 5 years. Most of these other projects have about a 1 to 2 year time frame, and so it just happens that these government regulators have moved all at once. But it does show, in my opinion, an acceleration of regulatory changes in Europe. And international opportunities abound when it comes to medical cannabis.
But Brendan, let me just jump in on that, because as you say, look, long-term projects, but the results obviously all being felt now, all significantly being felt in the market right now. You are about to merge and no longer become a standalone company, but when you see this kind of response to growth in Europe, growth in one particular market, the UK today, aren't you just making the case to remain a standalone business?
Ultimately, I think scale is extremely important. The industry in Canada needs consolidation, and when I look at the opportunities that the combined company Tilray and Aphria have, a clear winner in Canada, a great foundation to be a long-term winner in Europe, a foundation with Tilray's presence in Portugal and Aphria's presence in Germany. And then an opportunity in the U.S. through their Sweetwater acquisition and our Manitoba Harvest brand and products. I think that the combined company will be the largest cannabis company by revenue.
Sure. Okay, I get it. So the merits of the merger I understand, but if I'm a shareholder in Tilray, I'm looking at what's gone on today. As I say, this 40% rise on today's news. Under the exchange ratio, you're giving away, basically $10 to Aphria shareholders for this. So if I'm one of your shareholders, I'm thinking, do you recut the deal here? Is there something you can do so that more of that value accrues to me as a Tilray shareholder?
Yeah, I've been in this industry for 11 years, and I take a long view. And when I look out over the next 10 years, while the combined company has a great opportunity to be one of the first to $1 billion in revenue. When I look out over the next 5 to 10 years, we're seeing an entire $150 to $200 billion industry emerge. And while $1 billion in revenue will be a huge milestone, the next milestone will be the first company to $5 billion and the first company to $10 billion in revenues. And I think that combined company over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, that's what I'm interested in being a shareholder of.
Look, obviously, aside from the great work that you guys have been doing as a business in terms of growing this in international markets, you do also have this huge tailwind of whatever we want to call it, but sort of, thematic interest in the space right now. Obviously, it's been getting a lot of social media play. I believe there's a lot of talk about Tilray on Reddit today. I'm interested, as a CEO of a company, when you're using your stock as currency, whether it's to go and do M&A or indeed looking at it as a currency of someone acquiring you, how do you cope with that extreme volatility that we're seeing, because of this social media activity, because of the interest from the retail investor base around names like Tilray?
Someone asked me about this a few weeks ago, and very early on after our IPO, someone gave me some great advice that they said that your stock is not your company and your company is not your stock. And I heard that 3 years ago, and I've absorbed that sort of into my DNA, and that's how I think about the volatility in the stock. I try not to pay attention to the daily volatility and focus on the long-term opportunities, and certainly the results over the last 6 weeks with these international announcements. Those are all long-term projects, and so I think that it's important. While it's important to see what's happening on a day-to-day basis, it's more important to focus on the long-term strategic opportunities and to continue to hit milestone after milestone.
Well, Brendan, before we go, a very important milestone, obviously, for yourself and indeed for the entire industry is going to be regulation in the US. There is now increased hope that we will see federal legalization and a standard of legalization here with the flipping of the Senate. How are you thinking about that in terms of what it means for the business, but more importantly, what timeline are you expecting it to arrive in?
Yeah, so the November election was hugely important. Most people tend to overlook the state ballot initiatives. There were 7 that passed in 6 states, and so we were thrilled with those results. I think we'll see another batch of state ballot initiatives next November and the November thereafter, almost all red states. I do expect change in the U.S. It's coming. It's coming quickly. I think. I don't think it'll take place over the next 6 months, but I think 12 to 18 months is a realistic time frame. And while I have been doing this for 11 years, I think that the market and investors are starting to realize the inevitability of the end of prohibition, not only in the United States but in country after country around the world. And that's that ultimately is what people are buying.